I'm taking a look at this new SLR McLaren Stirling Moss in GTA Online. I'm excited for this one. It's the SM722 and it's going to go up against the Zentorno and the Turismo R, two classic supercars in GTA Online. All these cars are based off of 2010s, kind of, basically, supercars. So we're grouping them together, even though for whatever reason Rockstar decided that one of the most iconic cars of that era is going to go into the sports class, which drives me up the wall, but whatever. I'm going to try to get over that. We're going to try to have some fun here. All these cars are based on 2010 supercars, so for the purpose of this video, they're supercars. On the left, we've got the Turismo R. On the right, the Zentorno. It's basically the LaFerrari in GTA versus the Sesto Elemento. Going to the 8th mile line first, you'll see the Zentorno with a decent gap on the Turismo R, and it's going to maintain that gap on the way to the quarter mile line. We're going to go to the half mile line though to see if the Turismo R can maybe close the gap a little bit and get going. That Zentorno rips off the line, but once they get going, you'll see the gap doesn't change a whole lot. So acceleration actually looks fairly similar. I'll show you their actual drag times here in a second. Now we've got SLR McLaren on the left taking on the Zentorno, and this is going to be awesome. Really excited for this video, and I wanted to show it against supercars. These aren't the supercars I wanted to show it against at first, but they're still supercars, and you can see to the 8th mile line, the SM722 beats the Zentorno. It extends the lead going to the quarter mile, and it's just going to keep chugging all the way to that half mile line. This new sports car is faster than these supercars. Pretty awesome to see that. It's got a really solid acceleration, as you'll see here, in the 10s for quarter mile time. That's really good for this game. It beats everything in this video to the 8th, quarter, and half mile. Zentorno comes out on top of the Turismo, but not a huge gap there. So those cars are looking a little similar. I'm liking how everything matches up so far, but that's just one test of many. We got to check out top speed at my custom speedway as well. This Zentorno is just an awesome car. Based on the Sesto Elemento, it's really popular, been around for a long time. There's a reason for that. Both of them have new customization options like I mentioned, but this is the all-new car, that SM22. Stirling Moss, this game, they love Stirling Moss. They have the Stirling GT and this now, both good tributes, and look at that. Average speed around this speedway, it beats both the Turismo R and Zentorno again. So far a decisive lead in this video for that SM722. I love to see it. Now though, we go to my technical track. This is where things might change. So a lot of people are talking bad about the SM722, saying that it handles horribly, all that stuff. Well, I actually really like the way that it handles, and it slides around a lot, but it's kind of easy to control. That doesn't make it fast though. You can see the Turismo R does have an advantage there to the first gantry. Lots of skid marks you're going to see on the bottom of this split screen because this thing just slides everywhere. I love it personally. I think it's a ton of fun. But like I said, if the only thing you care about is driving fast in races, it's not going to work for you. I don't know. Here's my thing. I don't know why they put this in the sports class. It's a supercar. It should be in the supers class. But if you're not going to make it competitive in the sports class, which it's not, why not just put it where it should be? It drives me absolutely nuts. It's a ton of fun. I love ripping it around the track. It's a huge challenge. But it has no business being where it is. It's kind of a weird car. But as far as fun factor goes, it's awesome. As far as racing at my track goes, maybe not so much. We're going to see the time here in a second. But first, we got to put up the Turismo R and Zentorno. Like I said, people are telling me that these cars may have been buffed a little bit. So we're going to look at that a little. I'll talk about it in a minute. You'll see the Zentorno really kind of flying around. And the Turismo R is quick, but the Zentorno handles really well. It really does. The Turismo R, I actually used to love it. I haven't driven these things for a very, very long time. The Turismo R understeers maybe a little bit in comparison to the Zentorno, but you can see there it does look like it closes the gap a little bit through those right-handers, so maybe it doesn't understeer quite as much as I thought it did. Going around this long corner to the reverse start finish line, the gap's back and it's extended again by the Zentorno. So we're going to see if the extra stability from the Turismo might help it through this final chicane, long corner. I don't think it's going to. That Zentorno was a lot faster than I remember it being. And you'll see it's got a gap, but watch what happens to the gap here though. The Turismo R actually goes around that final corner much quicker, so it basically slingshots onto the straightaway and it closes the gap a little bit. So both of those cars are actually fairly close, but the Zentorno is in the 57s, really fast time. That's fantastic. But the Turismo R is in the 57s now too. There's not a whole lot separating them when it comes to lap time. The 722 can't crack a minute, and a minute is kind of the threshold for a fast car on this track. It just slides too much. And for the speed score, if you're not familiar with this, I'll put a card on your screen. We're looking at the Zentorno on top of the Turismo R, like it was before, and the SM22 beneath them, but not by a whole lot, because that acceleration and speed, it's impressive. It's a really fun car. I actually really enjoy it. You'll see it here a little bit more than you did on the split screen. It likes to slide. It doesn't maybe have the best traction under throttle, but if you can control your throttle, it's actually a lot of fun. It has a lot of rotation naturally because of that. It's a good car. The LaFerrari, or the Turismo, that's what it is. Turismo R is a really good car still. But we were talking about whether or not these cars were buffed, meaning the Zentorno and the Turismo R, and I'm going to say no. I think I said it. I haven't driven these cars in forever, so I think the Zentorno, when I drove it at first, really surprised me. It does have slightly faster times at each of my tracks, but, this is the big but, we're now on a new generation of consoles. We got more FPS. We got all the stuff that makes these cars faster. I think that's what we're seeing there. But really, these are all three fantastic cars, and if you're hesitant on the SM722, maybe give it a shot. It could be fun. Thanks so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments too. Thanks again, and I hope to see you next time.